we are due for some really cold weather in the garden this week. So on my to-do list today is to get things that are in the ground really well covered, really well mulched, so that they'll survive the winter. One of the things I'm doing here, I got my elephant garlic in last week. I'll talk about that in a minute. But also there are things that need to be protected, so I'm going to have to lift up my dahlia tubers. I know, I still haven't done it. And Mike is going to be harvesting something that should have been harvested quite some time ago in the polytunnel, so we'll show you that. But yeah, first of all, I mean, I don't know what you use for mulch, but one of the cheapest and most readily available things to use, and they are all around us at the minute, are leaves. And I mean, you know, you can bag them up, you can make leaf mould, you can do whatever you like with them. But just think, these are nature's absolute, they're just nature's mulch. They are made to break down and enrich the ground. And what I always think of is, if you walk through the woods or through a forest or wherever, the ground is beautiful. It's that spring beneath your feet. And that's because it's had loads of natural organic matter rot down into it over the years. So as long as you've got no nasties in your leaves, which hopefully I haven't, I'm just going to put a liberal dose of those over the elephant garlic. I might even tip some over the ordinary garlic as well, because although they like the cold, they are, yeah, a little bit of protection will do them good. Yeah, so as I mentioned about the elephant garlic, if you haven't planted it before, why not? Because it is quite a treat, even if it's just a novelty, you know, it's good fun. But the price of the individual cloves of elephant garlic at the moment, I've seen them going for about $2.99 each. So I don't know what that is in dollars. If you've seen that going for more, put it down in the comments below. Which, to be honest, it's a bit extortionate. So what I would do, if you really want to do it, try tasting someone else's first, see if it's for you. Maybe treat yourself to a bulb of it, and then in a bulb you tend to get about 4 or 5 cloves, not as much as a standard garlic bulb would give you. So plant them, and then next year save one clove. I know it doesn't seem a lot, try it, or save 2 and plant the other 2, and then the following year from those 2 cloves you'll have 8 cloves. 2 bulbs, 8 cloves. You wouldn't think I taught maths, would you? And so on and so on. So what I've got in here, I have got cloves that I've built up off my own stash year on year, and I mean, they're pretty good, they're pretty big. I have enough now to take home, and then I save maybe half of what I've planted and put it back in. So I've planted those, but I've also planted the little bulbils that you get as well. My mic keeps falling out, so I hope that's okay. The little bulbils are the little knobbly bits that you actually get on the garlic bulb itself. And they are a 2-year cycle, so they look like nothing now, and many people, you would just throw them away. I've done that before. But if you can think of the investment, if you pop those in a pot now, I've done 2 pots of them, next year they will grow into full grown cloves, and then that year you can plant full grown cloves, and the following year you've got your full elephant garlic bulb. It's a long process, but if you really want to grow it, it's just a cheap way to do it. So anyway, I will keep topping up with different things that I find round and about, but yeah, we can't just let the leaves go to waste. The pond isn't looking its best at the moment, but if we just look here at these little things, these are some primroses that I transplanted here last year. Remember, this is the first year of this pond, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're injecting a really gorgeous touch of yellow at this time of year. I mean, really, they are a sign of spring, so it just goes to show how mild it's been. But we have had the trail come up, and we've been able to keep an eye on this little visitor. I've still got loads of the vertical structures to take out, and I don't just mean the sweet corn. I mean those bean canes, but they're not in any danger of, I don't know, falling over or anything. Let's hope over the next week or so. So they can be shuffled to the bottom of my list, and I've got to get on with something else. I don't know if you can see or pick up on the camera, but just tripped over an apple tree. Up there is the new hat that we put on the stove last week to see if we could stop it leaking. And someone commented, I'm sorry I can't remember your name, I think it might be Chris. He said maybe you've got your flue stacked upside down, and so the rain is hitting the junction, and instead of draining out, it's going inside instead of going outside. So let me just show you with this. I'll show you that we've checked. I've got a feeling I'm covered in branches and all sorts. Right, I'm hoping that this will pick up, but yes, the person said that, I don't know if you can see here, this pipe comes apart in sections, okay, and that's one of the ideas about it being portable. Someone said it wasn't portable as well, or suggested it wasn't. You can just lift that, which I won't at the moment because it's absolutely piping hot. You can just lift that and lift this up. I mean, you can take the legs off as well if you want, and it's got a little carry handle. But someone suggested that can you see, the pipe itself goes in at the bottom and sits inside the pipe underneath. So the suggestion was that maybe it was upside down, and maybe the pipe should sit on the outside of the one underneath, which does make sense, and we did think about it. But when you look at the little thing that we took off, the little hat that we took off, it very, very definitely goes in. So it has to sit that way around. So far, we haven't had any trouble. We've had a few fires in here since. We haven't had any trouble with the little hat, but we haven't really had any bad weather. So we shall see what we shall see. Something that I really don't want to leave to chance this year on my, you know how much I love my dahlias. Sorry, I've got a tree in the way. But yeah, I've got my dahlias. I cut them down on both sides of the arch. And last year what I did, there's always an argument, not an argument, but a debate. Should you leave your dahlia tubers in? Should you lift them? Last year I did a bit of both. The ones I left in, even though it was a fairly mild winter, rotted in the ground because they got too wet. The ones I took out looked really, really good until I was just about to replant them, and I noticed that they'd started to go mouldy. So what I need to do, it's all lessons learned. I need to make sure that when I dig them up now, I'm going to make sure they dry really, really properly. And I left them in my polytunnel for too long last year, I think. And although it's dry, it still gets damp. Does that make sense? Anyway, so what I'm going to do is try and dig these up without disturbing too much of the tuber. If you were going to leave them in, if you have got a nice light free draining soil and you gave them a really good mulch, you could probably get away with it. But then again, we might have an absolutely cripplingly cold winter. We just can't tell. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to look after these so that next year they will give me as good, oh crikey, as good a display as they did this. I'm going to really look after them well, as good a display as they did this year. Yeah, look at this. This has got a beautiful system. What's this? France Kafka. Right, keep that there. Let's hope that's the right label. The main thing is get all the soil off. Yeah, again, this is one of the things last year. I don't think I got all the soil off properly. I gave it a shake, a little bit of a brush. And so once the soil got damp again, it transferred to the tubers. So I will get as much off as I can. If you've got a hose on your allotment, you're a lucky spud, because you can just hose a lot of the soil off and it'll do a really good job, but I haven't. So a lot of it is going to be with my fingers like that. But honestly, if you haven't grown dahlias before and you dig them up, you will be quite surprised as to how much bigger they are than when you put them in. So yeah, that needs seeing too, but one dahlia done. And I'll put that little thing back in there because who knows, I might actually remember to label them properly. Right, couple more and then I'm going to take them down to the greenhouse. And this is what happens when you tug on the actual stems rather than putting your hand underneath, lifting it gently up. You split the plant. So I'm going to be extra especially careful with these ones this year. I think they'll still be okay as long as no rot or anything gets into that bit. But these are the great silence. Look at that one. It doesn't look glamorous at all, does it? These are the great silence that I had last year. I'm going to wait for this the mud as it is at the moment to dry off a bit, and then I can brush it off a lot easier. But look at that. Oh dear. Anyway, it'll be okay. Where's the tag? Oh dear, where's the tag? This greenhouse itself isn't great. It's not frost free, partly because the window doesn't close and it's got a few mist panes. So yeah, when we do get minus temperatures, I will be taking these home. Another job I've been meaning to do, well, ever since the garden show at Melbourne, is plant up these plants. These are some of the bargain plants that I got at the end of the garden show, mainly for £1 each or less. And to be honest, they've just been sitting on this table and I've been meaning to plant them. But what I would say now is I do not want to plant them into damp, soggy ground. So even though most of them are quite hardy, I am going to put these in the greenhouse as well, just to give them an extra level of protection. There we go. Not ideal because, as I say, the greenhouse is hardly frost free, but it's more frost free than the tables sitting out in all weathers. So yeah, we'll see how they do.
So here we have, sitting in a little corner of the polytunnel here, our effort to grow sweet potatoes in a bag, which is something that I saw on YouTube. It's got a great big piece of drain pipe down the middle, which was punctured with holes so you could water it from the top. And the whole idea was to try and keep the thing as moist as you possibly could. Anyway, they need a really long growing season. I know that people have had some success with them in this country. But it's the first time that we've tried it, so I'm just going to see how it works out. I'm going to open the bag now and see what we have.
And then, as if by magic, the not only did the camera start filming in slow motion, but when I was able to speed it up, we lost all sound completely. So I've chosen a piece of music ironically called Sweet Hope to go over the top of this. But I think you'll probably be able to tell by now that, yeah, this harvest could have been better, but look at those tubers. They're okay, aren't they? They're just small. If we'd had a bit longer, we'd have been okay. And obviously this bit is zoomed in, which is on a slow motion piece of film, is not great quality, but I think Rocky's face just about sums it up, but we can only try, can't we? See you next week.